This is part 2 of my Spider-Man Cinematic Universe. If you have not seen part 1, then pause this video and subscribe to the channel and, well, see part 1 before you see part 2, because it could get confusing if you haven't seen part 1. Also, by the way, this is my own idea for a Spider-Man Cinematic Universe, so yeah. This is, also taking inspiration from some Spider-Man stories in the past, like all Spider-Man movies are. So, make sure to subscribe, and I'll begin my Spider-Man Cinematic Universe Part 2. So, final warning, if you haven't seen Part 1, you have to pause this video and see Part 1 first, and the best way to probably do that is to subscribe, maybe. And, yeah. And then then you'll know exactly what will happen, and then you'll be caught up to date, pretty much. So yeah, time to begin. So, my Spider-Man Cinematic Universe Part 2 starts off with Spider-Man going to college. Now, in Part 1, I had the Spider-Man movies be called The Amazing Spider-Man, and now, since this is Part 2 and a new chapter of Spider-Man's story, I decided to give it a new name. So the first film of Part 2 is going to be the 4th Spider-Man movie, but also it's not going to be called something like The Amazing Spider-Man 4, like I just called all the movies, like I just named them all after the Amazing Spider-Man movies with Andrew Garfield, and it's cancelled, or I don't know if it's gonna be made or not anymore, but still. The Amazing Spider-Man 3, but still. So, without further ado, I better begin. So, the first movie is called The Spectacular Spider-Man, and it'll be about Peter Parker entering college and realizing that he's being Spider-Man far too much and he needs to take a break because it's affecting his personal life. And also in this movie, Peter and Harry are well, not really doing too well as friends, because Harry is angry that Spider-Man killed his dad, and Peter is feeling guilty because he is Spider-Man, and he also Peter feels bad for not being able to tell MJ that he's Spider-Man, even though he clearly likes her. And to make matters worse, Flash Thompson is at his college, and he's his bully from school, so that's bad. But luckily for Peter, he meets a new friend, Eddie Brock, and they become good friends. Turns out Eddie has started to get a job at the Daily Bugle, and Peter coincidentally also works at the Daily Bugle taking pictures of Spider-Man. But eventually Peter and Eddie will be you know, having a sort of friendly rivalry, like they're like having like a little competition to see who is the best Spider-Man picture taker. Okay, that sounds dumb, but still. And also, without a Norman Osborn or an Otto Octavius to be Peter's mentor, Peter's got a new mentor in this college, Dr. Curt Connors, who is coincidentally the main villain of this movie, the Lizard. So basically all Peter Parker's mentors are basically supervillains in the cinematic universe. But anyway, so Peter and Dr. Connors will become good friends, and eventually when the Lizard, when Curt becomes the Lizard, Peter doesn't want to arrest him or have him, or like just fight him, because they've become good friends, and he knows that Dr. Connors is a good person. It's just that he wanted to regrow his arm so he could you know, hug his son by the way, I just wanted to just say that he just, like, stuff like from Spectacular Spider-Man, I'm taking bits of inspiration from that, and having Peter Parker and Dr. Connors be sort of like that type of friendship. Well, not fully like that. I mean, like, they're more like a bit, I think I took a bit more of inspiration from both The Amazing Spider-Man and Spider-Man 2 and 3 for their friendship. But I also wanted to mention the fact that Dr. Connors has a family, and that's something neither of those movies really mentioned. I mean, like, maybe they did mention them, and I forget, but as far as I remember, they weren't really in the movies, and I think this would probably be a bit more better and emotional for him. And eventually, when Peter defeats him, he's gonna feel bad, but Dr. Connors promises not to tell any of the people in prison that Peter's Spider-Man. And of course, another mentor walks away from Peter. And by that I mean they just turned evil and had to go to jail. And then, surprisingly, Flash Thompson will want to become a better person throughout this movie, and, well, he will become friends with Peter, and setting him on a path to being a better person. And eventually, at the end of this movie, Harry Osborn will take full control of his father's company of Oscorp after he was killed by Spider-Man. Well, it wasn't more of an accident, but still. And then that will leave Harry ready to get revenge for what Spider-Man did to his father. And also, Harry had basically no time for dating MJ at this point in time. I can't remember if I had ended the part 1 of my Spider-Man cinematic universe with Harry dating MJ and Peter not being able to because she broke up with him because he's Spider-Man, or if that just MJ broke up with Peter and didn't go with anyone else. I can't remember any of that. Well, I mean, like, it's been a while since I made part 1, but yeah. I'm just gonna say that she wants to give Peter another shot at being like her boyfriend, and Peter's like, sure, yeah, and then decides to, you know, be a bit not as much being Spider-Man. And yes, that's it, pretty much. But then at the end of this movie, there's like a post-credit scene teasing, which has Doc Ock in prison, and he's visited by this mysterious person, and he's saying, do you want, like, this mysterious person saying to Doc Ock, do you want to team up and get revenge on Spider-Man? And then Doc Ock's like, yes, and then this mysterious person's like, okay, then get a bunch of friends you know who want to get revenge on Spider-Man, and I'll promise to break you out and give you whatever you want. And of course, yeah, that's setting up the Sinister Six. And if you want, you can probably guess who is this mystery person, but I think it could be quite obvious. And anyway, the movie after The Spectacular Spider-Man will be Black Cat 2, which, yeah, while preparing to make this video, I was thinking, what am I gonna do? I have no idea what I could do for a Black Cat movie. Like, I had an idea for part 1, and then like, for part 1 of my Spider-Man cinematic universe, I had an idea for a Black Cat movie, and of course, you could remember that from the actual part 1 if you've watched it. And, well, I don't know any good sequel ideas for Black Cat, but I'll maybe make this film focus a bit more on Black Cat's backstory and that sort of stuff. Meanwhile, for villain ideas and other type of cool story ideas, I have no idea. So we could just pretend that this movie is a bit of a failure at the box office, like a bit like how the actual Marvel Cinematic Universe's Phase 2's second movie was a bit of a not as popular film, like a bit of a flop. And yeah. So yeah, that's kind of something. So yeah. Black Cat 2 is just the next movie. I don't have any ideas for its sequel, like for a Black Cat sequel. Anyway, I better move on to something I do know about, and I actually had this idea, and I like this idea. And now we got a sequel to The Spectacular Spider-Man, which, of course, I didn't want to just call it The Spectacular Spider-Man 2, because I had The Amazing Spider-Man, The Amazing Spider-Man 2, and The Amazing Spider-Man 3, and since this is technically like the 4th, 5th, and 6th movies that are going to be in this part of the universe, I was thinking that I don't want to do a 1, 2, and a 3, so I'm just going to call it Spectacular Spider-Man, Spider-Man Hunted, or Last Hunt, or The Hunter. One of those titles. I think The Hunter sounds a tiny bit lame, and I think Hunted would probably be a bit better. But then Last Hunt, of course, is from the story this film is going to be based off, which is Kraven's Last Hunt. And this technically isn't his last hunt, meaning he's going to return in this universe. But I don't know what else to call it, but still, it's whatever, really. But anyway, the film will have the Chameleon and Kraven the Hunter as the main villains, because like they're both like brothers, or at least half brothers, or something like that. And I thought that this could be good enough for them to be in it. And also, this film's going to be like about exploring more of Peter Parker's friendships, and Harry Osborn doesn't even speak to him anymore, and, well, Harry Osborn doesn't speak to anyone anymore, because he's more focused on revenge for his father, and he is destroying his own personal life. And anyway, also in this film, yeah, I forgot to mention about Aunt May. Peter Parker and Aunt May will be like, Peter will be helping Aunt May at the homeless shelter feast in the Marvel Comics universe. You could probably, and from the Spider-Man video game, you probably know that feast is run by the supervillain Martin Lee, who is Mr. Negative, but he's not in this universe yet, but he will be. It takes time. But yeah, until then, you know, he's not there. But anyway, right, I better get, well, I just wanted to say something on how Aunt May's getting on, because, she's Peter's, parent. Well, like, she's like a parent to Peter, like, in a way, because, you know. But anyway, I'm not gonna get into all this type of stuff. So anyway, I need to get back to the main plot. So basically, Harry hires Kraven the Hunter and the Chameleon to hunt down Spider-Man and kill him. Unfortunately, that doesn't work out. But this is kind of bad, because Kraven like, one of Kraven's like weird hunting powers is that he can has a sense of smell to sniff out his enemies. I don't know. At least that's what I think. I can't remember. I think it was, but anyway. Well, I know. You know what I mean. If you're a Spider-Man fan, you probably know. But if I'm wrong about his sense of smell being that strong, correct me in the comments. But anyway, so in so anyway, Kraven will like be able to sense Spider-Man at any point. Like, he can sniff out Spider-Man at any point in time, meaning that he knows where he will be. So this puts his loved ones in danger, and this is kind of bad, because also in this film we learn that Flash's going to join the army. I'm setting up at something that Flash does in the comics, so you know, and joining the army is one of those things. So I just got to do this. I also kind of took a wee bit of inspiration from this comic about Spider-Man's life story. It's kind of like, well, I don't want to get into it, but basically it's about Spider-Man, just his whole life, really. Like, what if Spider-Man has been Spider-Man for the same amount of time he's been around as a fictional character. So anyway, back to the plot. So anyway, Peter will promise to say goodbye to Flash because they are now friends now, and there has been a good bit of time has passed since the first movie, and Peter's friendships have gone a bit better, except for with Harry. And also in this film, MJ will figure out Peter is Spider-Man because of some stuff that will happen. But anyway, Kraven and the Chameleon will almost kill Spider-Man, but then it's kind of like something that happens in Spider-Man 2. Harry wants them to bring Spider-Man to him, and he just tells them to just get out and leave the room while he interrogates Spider-Man, and then he pulls off his mask and sees that Peter Parker is his best friend, and also he's Spider-Man, and he's like, and Harry feels betrayed. But anyway, Kraven then goes a bit insane and demands for Spider-Man to give him a proper fight, and he wants to be proven as the greatest hunter of all time, and also he wants money, I guess. So yeah, Kraven will go to just go a bit insane and let Spider-Man go, and then he also takes Harry hostage. And then also Spider-Man has to save him. But Harry's not feeling happy about it, and is still angry that Peter killed his father. Although Peter's trying to explain it, Harry doesn't know what to do, so he just wants to be left alone. And Peter trusts that Harry will do the right thing. Jokes on Peter that Harry's not going to do the right thing, and this is kind of a problem. Because now Harry knows Peter's Spider-Man, and he desperately wants revenge. So yeah. But anyway, at the end of the movie, while Flash is going to leave to join the army, and he doesn't know if he'll ever see, if Peter will ever, like, see him again. Like, he doesn't know if he'll see anyone again. So, or at least in a long time. So, Peter tries to make it there, but because of the final battle, and then, yeah, Peter misses the chance to say goodbye to Flash, and this is the point in time where MJ reveals to Peter that she knows that he's Spider-Man, and also, yeah, that's kind of it. And then, after that, there's also, right, oh yeah, so yeah. So Peter wants to try be a better person now, and also, also in this film, he also kind of damaged his friendship with Eddie Brock, setting up something for them to, you know, like setting up a little bit of, just, you know, setting up Venom in a way. And then there's two post-credit scenes. The first is that this mystery person from the last movie's like post-credit scene goes to the jail, like prison, to like talk to Otto Octavius, and Otto says that he has made a few friends and is in prison, and they would be happy to get revenge on Spider-Man. And then this mystery person is like, good, I can't wait to kill Spider-Man in like the next movie. And yeah, That's going to be the next movie. Well, not the next movie, because there's another movie, and that's going to be a sequel to The Scarlet Spider. So, you know, Ben Reilly, The Scarlet Spider, yeah, he's going to get a second movie. And now, in this movie, it's basically about Ben trying to figure out how to have a normal life, even though that he's technically a clone of someone else. And he's also thinking of just becoming, like, a superhero full-time. And yeah, eventually he will end up fighting against the main villain of this movie, Tombstone, who is going to be like a bit like from Spectacular Spider-Man, where he was like a crime boss, like in charge of things. He's kind of like a replacement to Kingpin, you know, in a way. But anyway, I'm just gonna continue on. Also, he's gonna, like, Tombstone is also gonna hire some villains to have, you know, fight Spider-Man, or in this case, the Scarlet Spider. And they're gonna be, like, villains I want to include, but I don't have enough room to do in the main stories, which are Shocker, the Vulture, and especially Scorpion, because Scorpion so far has never fought Spider-Man in live action, and I would desperately want to see it, but I don't have room for him in any of these movies over all the other villains, so I just decided to just settle on him being in this movie, like a Scarlet Spider movie, and it's the closest I can really get in this universe. But maybe if I ever decide to make another version of a Spider-Man cinematic universe, like, I could change my mind if I don't like this idea. After a while, I'm just, you know, I could maybe make Scorpion a villain of another Spider-Man movie. So, yeah. Until then, yeah, that's it. And that's all I pretty much got to say about it. Now we got to get to the main movie of this part, and it is almost it's almost like the you know, it's what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, it's like probably one of the best movies I kind of think I've ever thought of in this universe. Oh, I totally forgot to say, like, the second post-credit scene from the last movie. I'm so sorry if you're a bit annoyed at that. Yeah, so anyway, the second post-credit scene from the second Spider-Man movie of this part is Oscorp has takes an alien symbiote into its laboratory for testing, and it's like an alien. It's black goo, and I think you all know what that is. Now, I think it's about time I get to the best movie I've thought of so far, at least in my opinion. If you guys don't really like it as much as like another movie in this universe, let me know, but I actually kind of like this one. And, okay. This movie is Spectacular Spider-Man, The Sinister Six. So, this movie starts with Peter Parker getting straight out of college. Now, I would have had him in college, but I just thought if he starts the movie getting out of college, I would have thought this would have probably been I would have been able to have more room for the rest of the plot instead of just having Spider-Man be in college all the time. But anyway, I gotta continue with this. So, anyway, Peter is pretty much having a good time. Like, he just graduated from college and he's ready to get a job as a scientist because he wants that so badly, and he has decided to apply for a job at Horizon Labs. Now, in the comics, Horizon Labs is just a science thing. It's like a sciencey thing that Peter went to at some point in time, but in the cartoon Marvel's Spider-Man, they changed it to being a school for very smart kids called Horizon High. Now, wait, hang on, yeah. And also, just a little thing to mention. I kind of think that it's kind of interesting. Like, it's kind of like, well, not interesting. It's kind of weird how, like, in that show, Marvel's Spider-Man, that it has like 15-year-old kids with like scientific tech. I mean, like, even I think they even have vibranium. Like, vibranium. Did I say it right? Vibranium. I don't know. Like, it's kind of impressive, really, and at the same time a bit sketchy. I mean, like, I don't think this is realistically possible for children, or at least teenagers, to have this sort of technology. But anyway, moving on. I gotta talk more about this great movie. Well, I keep saying it's great, but I don't know if it will be great. But anyway, in this is also, this movie would begin with well, not really begin, but at some point the villains will be broken out of prison, and the villains are Dr. Octopus, Electro, Mysterio, Kraven the Hunter, and the Chameleon from previous movies. Doc Ock and Mysterio, as well as Electro, were all from part 1 of this universe, and Kraven and the Chameleon were from the last Spider-Man movie in this universe, like the one that I said not too long ago in this video. And they're going to be broken out by none other than the Green Goblin, which I think you can all tell that Harry Osborn has definitely become Green Goblin because of how he wants revenge, and I think this is the best idea. Now, of course, another idea would have probably been that Kingpin was probably the one to get the Sinister Six together, but I much rather save Kingpin a wee bit for another Spider-Man type of movie, or I don't know, something in this universe. But until then, we have this plot, and currently we have the Green Goblin breaking these criminals out of jail. They all want revenge against Spider-Man, and none of these people know who Peter Parker is. Well, they don't know who Spider-Man is. The only one who knows Peter Parker's Spider-Man is Green Goblin. But anyway, I also plan for at some point in the story, like not that long, like during one of the battles against the Sinister Six, Spider-Man ends up bonding with the symbiote, and throughout the movie he gets a bit more aggressive and angry, and at one point he just goes ahead and just be's mean to a whole lot of people, like even Eddie Brock. He just like when they're like working, Eddie's talking about leaving to go to another country to work for one of the biggest news businesses in the world, and then Peter is like just going on how terrible he was, and then in this movie this ruins their friendship completely. And of course, Peter, the only person Peter doesn't get angry at is Aunt May, because he cares for Aunt May the most. Also, this movie's gonna have Peter and Aunt May, like, bond a lot, since, like, they've been through a lot together, and now that Peter's a full-grown adult, Aunt May is gonna kind of miss having him around. But now, this is kinda, something. So, also, in this movie, Doc Ock is planning his own thing, away from all the other villains, that he just wants to create a scientific machine that would hopefully save mankind from anything, really. He just kind of wants to be, mainly Dr. Octopus's main goal is to be a good person, but all the tragedies in his life and all, like, the people who ruined his life kind of just made him hate him a villain again. Like, he just became evil, and since Spider-Man put him away in jail, he wants revenge, and he's kind of just like he's kind of like a lost soul. He's like kind of like he's broken. He's like he is very upsetting, and he's like, it's very upsetting to know about like how he just wants to be a good person, but all his hopes were taken away from him. But anyway, with the symbiote, Peter Parker, aka Spider-Man, is going to, you know, be able to take out the villains a lot easier, and I plan that he takes out 4 of the villains with the symbiote with ease. Like, the symbiote, he like unlocks its true power, like it's, well, not true power, it's just like, it's whatever, really. Anyway, what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, and oh yeah. Anyway, he takes out Electro, Mysterio, Kraven, and the Chameleon, and he goes to attack Doc Ock. But here's the thing: Doc Ock almost defeats him. So Peter just decides to reveal that he is Spider-Man, and Otto feels terrible, and like Peter either tries to convince Otto that it's not too late to change, and then Otto is realizing all the bad things he's done and wants to try and make things right, like Peter. Until then, the Green Goblin shows up and Harry kills him. Yeah, Harry kills him, and this frustrates Peter. And to make matters worse, Harry has also kidnapped Aunt May. Also in the other movie, Green Goblin just Green Goblin tried to kill Aunt May in like part 1, but Peter managed to save her. But in this movie, Peter's unsuccessful and he can't save Aunt May, and this kind of just makes him angry. And then Harry's like to Peter that Harry's like that they'll have a final showdown on the Brooklyn Bridge, and then when this happens, like MJ feels bad for Peter and tries to be there for him, but all Peter really wants is revenge because of what happened to Aunt May, and because he has the symbiote, nothing can really stop him from thinking. And also, what was I gonna say now? Oh yeah, also J. Jonah Jameson will also hear about Aunt May would have died. Also, you know, I don't really do much for J. Jonah Jameson in this universe, or at all when it comes to me thinking of Spider-Man stuff. But this is kind of something, a heart-touching moment I kind of want to do. I took inspiration from Spectacular Spider-Man when J. Jonah Jameson found out that Aunt May had a heart attack and tried to call Peter, but Peter hung up. So yeah. But anyway, the same here happens, and J. Jonah Jameson will feel, you know, like he's a terrible person for all the terrible things he had said and done over the years, and he feels like this just goes to show that he's a terrible person, and he feels like he just can't go back from it. It kind of just, you know, breaks his heart to know that Peter is not going to answer him. In actuality, Peter just thinks that he's just calling him just to take pictures of Spider-Man. And then, anyway, they have a final battle, Peter and Harry, and Peter nearly kills Harry, but then realizes that he he's about to kill his best friend, and he remembered that with great power comes great responsibility, and he realizes the symbiote's making him someone he's not. So Peter tries to remove the symbiote, and Harry realizes this crazy stuff he's done, so he helps Peter remove it and destroy it with his pumpkin bomb. And then finally, Peter decides to help Harry find a cure, and Harry just feels like he's a terrible person now, and also, yeah. He'll go to jail, and Harry wants to make up for the crimes he has committed, and finally, yeah, he promises not to tell anyone that Peter's Spider-Man because of the second chance Peter gave him. And finally, at Aunt May's funeral, J. Jonah Jameson will apologize to Peter for everything that he has done, and being a horrible person to him, and also, so he's sorry that Aunt May, what happened to Aunt May, and Peter, well, forgives him because he's a good person. But also Peter feels like being Spider-Man is a curse, so he decides to give up being Spider-Man to have a normal life. And at the end of this movie, he had there's the final part of this movie is that Peter throws the Spider-Man costume in the bin, and recreating the scene from Spider-Man 2, and that's kind of like the end of this part of the universe, like this chapter. Oh yeah, and then there's a post-credit scene that reveals that the Venom symbiote survived its death. Like, the Venom symbiote is still around, and well, when Eddie Brock is leaving New York, the symbiote attaches onto him, and leads to the final movie of this part, which is Venom. So, it's basically a movie. It begins with how good Eddie Brock's life has gotten over the past year and a half, maybe, and ever since he left New York, he's been doing good. And also, closer to near the end, well, not really near the end, but after that, we learn that that Eddie's being controlled by the symbiote, and he has no idea about it. Until then, he gets into a whole lot of trouble when the government wants to, sees Venom as a threat and wants to take him down. And so Eddie realizes that he's being controlled, and then he learns that Peter's Spider-Man and all that. But anyway, he decides to help the symbiote because he thinks that if the government take the symbiote, they're gonna do a lot of experiments on it, and it's a living being, and Eddie doesn't want anything bad to happen to it, so he just decides to help the symbiote. But also the symbiote is kind of tricking Eddie into helping it. And by the end of the movie, Eddie becomes an outlaw and realizes that he can't get a job anymore because of him being a criminal. Well, sort of like a criminal. And yeah. He then decides to do one thing. He and the symbiote decide to go back to New York and get revenge on Spider-Man, which they will, and that's it. That's the movie over. That's pretty much the Venom movie. I kind of am a bit proud of how I did my Spider-Man cinematic universe, and I kind of see it as being a bit epic, really. But we're not done yet, because Part 3 will explore Spider-Man fighting Venom, and I will start to introduce more sides to the universe. But until then, this is pretty much it, and I kind of am happy of how I'm not really the most proud of how it's a cinematic universe, really, because all really I did was just give two characters real trilogies only in 3 different parts of the universe, and a villain just like one spin-off movie in this part, and like it just like starting off, it doesn't really feel like a cinematic universe, and more likely if you just remove the spin-off movies and only have the Spider-Man movies, there's literally no difference in the plot. But I'm more proud of how the Spider-Man movies are turning out. Like, they're like really good in my opinion of how I read them, and like I kind of like the way I went with the story. And I hope like part 3 is going to be like one of the part 3 to my universe might be a bit different, but it's still gonna be sort of the same. But yeah, I think as a cinematic universe, it's not really the best when it comes to spin-off movies and like movies about characters. I think that it's kind of not that impressive. But as a Spider-Man movie series, it kind of is kind of good in my opinion. In like the way I like I just took things I love about Spider-Man and put it into like a movie of some sort. And yeah, I think that could be it. But anyway, I think part 2 might be probably the best part I have made, because I thought it through, and I know I have already created, like, thought of what movies and ideas and stories are going to be in part 3 and 4. So yeah, make sure to subscribe if you want to see them. And also, if I make this video too long, I will try my best to make shorter videos in time. But it's just that it's hard to just, you know, just do a lot of information in one video, and I feel like that's kind of like a problem I kind of face while making a YouTube channel. But anyway, until then, I think I'm quite proud of how this all turned out, and make sure to subscribe to see part 3, and I will probably make other cinematic universes based off Marvel and DC characters of some point down the line. But until then, that's it. That's pretty much it for the video. Also, part 3 will be coming out sometime next week, I hope. Maybe the week after. I don't know. I'll just see, because I didn't plan for part 2 to come out this late from part 1. But yeah, that's it for the video. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next